So the interesting thing about this building is it's all brick, and as you look around, it's called Satyani. It's called Satyani, which is 7 stairs. So it's like the 7 stairs to heaven. It's octagonal, so it's got the basic square, and then the square has been turned again, and the square has been turned again. Every time the square is turned, you will see it leaves an imprint of that corner where it's turned. And then that edge gives it this point for the arches to spring from, and it gives it this flower-like footprint. So we've seen these floral motifs on the top of the Tarkan graves. We've seen the floral motifs on the side of Jam Nizamdin. This is essentially a version of the floral motif extruded up into an architecture. It has stairs that take you to the roof on the outsides, and these little niches, these little enclaves in the corners with other graves in them. So it's a very delicate, very well thought through, detailed design. You see the level change. It has details that change in a matter of inches on the building, in its footprint and in its elevations. So in its delicacy, it has a feminine nature in terms of architecture, because this is not the kind of work that the Mughals are really known for. They're known for very muscular buildings, very tall, very high, large, broad pillars, tall arches, big domes, sometimes double domes. This is a very different building compared to all of that, and again a unique one in terms of the culture of Makli and what we see here. It's very, very subtle, very elegant, very gentle, and even though it has a clutter of graves on the inside, you don't feel that overwhelming cluttery quality, because the building itself is so delicately designed and beautifully detailed. This is the second Mughal structure for our journey today, which is Dhivani Shurfa. His mausoleum built in 1638, and it is a very, very typical Mughal structure that you will see in Samarkand, in Bukhara, in most of Lahore and northern India also. The beauty here is, once again, you will see the fantastic carvings on the grave itself, almost machine made but done in stone, super crisp, very, very clear and beautifully done, almost like Braille for even the blind to read. And then as we look around us, you see the blue tile work showing up amongst the brick. You see the arabesque in the tiles on the Kashi tiles. And then as we look up, you see the herringbone pattern, dome above, the squinching on the corner. And this is very typical, how the square becomes an octagon and then springs into the dome above. Strong, solid corners, strong, solid base. This is a very typical use of blues and the brickwork in a Mughal structure. Depth of the arches, their relationship to one another, the colors in the sky, the way it lifts up, entirely different to Satyani and very, very typical in terms of Mughal funerary architecture. And now we reach the piece de resistance for the day. You are at Isa Khan Tarkan II's glamorous tomb. This is the largest, most magnificent of all the tombs at Makli, only slightly in comparison to Jam Nizamdin. Largest footprint, you can see the building behind me, double-storied, huge dome, massive site. It has everything that somebody of his power and stature would want to keep himself remembered after he died. The interesting thing about this tomb is that you see the arabesque pattern on all of the pillars, all the walls of the building on the inside. You see the same arabesque almost all around the building. It's like a wallpaper. It just gets printed on and on and on. So he was obviously fond of ornament. He wanted to show his power and wealth, and it was certainly displayed in all of these patterns, motifs, and all of this absolutely gorgeous workmanship of stone in the arabesque floral throughout this building. The interesting thing about this building also is that the second floor, which actually is really there for an illusion. If one goes up there, although it looks like it's a functional second floor, it's not a very tall ceiling, and the handrail is very, very low, almost only meant for you to sit there on your haunches and look out. So this building actually gives an illusion of being a double height space and really, really tall and reaching up to the sky, when in fact it's not an unusually tall building, and it's not that huge as it looks, because he wanted it to look as large as possible, larger than life. The dome is a double dome on the inside. It's a spectacular squinching system. All the stonework inside the actual dome itself, inside the actual tomb itself, is beautiful. It's right behind me, and it's between the two layers of the corridors, the pillars right behind. So like the Acropolis, that also gives it depth. It gives it a rhythm in architecture. It gives it more poetry, more lyricism, more muscularity. Anything that he could have done to show off how great a man he was, how great a leader he was, he has adopted in this building, and it shows in a plethora of ways across this beautiful, beautiful tomb. All day you've been watching me walk around with this document. You must be wondering what this is. Well, this is a little guidebook that was made 8 years ago in our office. You can see it says Makli Necropolis and has a photo. It also has a very funny picture of me doing my introductory little classroom at the Khanka right at the top next to the masjid, and a little story about what we do in terms of our edutours, and then it opens into some history of the 4 different dynasties that are buried here, what that's about, the 4 different types of structures we talked about. So this is a watercolor hand-drawn map that was produced in my office many years ago. The logo has changed, but it shows you the length of Makli. It's 4 kilometers. It shows all the red buildings are the major monuments with pictures, and we've been through maybe about 8 or 10 of them today. Other than the charcoal expressive drawings that we do when we have time, we bring our boards, we bring our newsprint. I also bring some books across because it's important to see what documentation has been done on this great site. One of the early books on Makli was the Makli Name. This was done in Persian, written in Persian originally. So from Makli Name, another great book that is worth looking at and owning is also the Fatha Name Sindh. This book, available easily, printed by the Endowment Fund Trust. Again, this book is perfect for anyone to have because the Persian is here right there with the dates, and the English translation is also there. So brilliant book, highly recommended, and we do bring these books with us on our tours for that level of discussion should anybody want to go there. Another lovely book that we carry, and we've seen some of the sites, some of the details from it, is by the great Ahmed Hassan Dani. Everybody knows. Worth having and understanding all the details that we run through on our tours, and details that you can always come back to. So generally what happens is that somebody will take a tour, come on an Edutour with us, we will introduce them. This is all pretty much the tip of the iceberg. We will introduce them to all of these things, and the most recent treasure that really is a must-own is by Mr. Kalimullah Lashari, the epigraphy of Makli. This has recently been published. Big, thick, fat encyclopedia. These are incredible drawings that Mr. Lashari has found and included in this book. Look at these. Just absolutely delicious. How do we feel about these places? How do they make us feel about belonging, about the sense of place, about who we are, where we came from? These are the things that we talk about in our Edutours. These are the things that we want to ask questions about. Cube Edutours that would certainly invite scholars to get involved, researchers to come and join us, to contribute, to participate. If you're any of those and you'd like to participate or join in this initiative, please feel free to do so. Certainly send us a message, send us a comment. Having now traversed 400 years of architectural history to Makli, all the way from the northern end to the southern, we finally ended our journey for the day at Isa Khan Tarkan, the second's tomb. You've seen how beautiful it is. Its gold pillars, the repetition, the patterns, the poetry, the double height ceiling, the carvings at every inch of it. This is a jewel that's waiting to be drawn, photographed, videotaped, filmed, studied, written about in so many ways. And I really hope that we can all come out here and take a look at it together with me one of these days, as soon as we can.